So, today we discuss, is Jack Daniel's new single barrel, barrel-proof rye better than Thomas H. Handy? If you want to hear about it, stick around. So, I've been lucky enough to be invited to be part of the individuals that receive media samples whenever Jack Daniel's has special releases. And they reached out and they said, hey, we have a media sample coming out of the Barrel Proof Rye. Do you want it? And I said, absolutely. So if you all remember a couple of years ago, Jack Daniel's released a Barrel Proof Rye as their, limited edition release for that year. And everybody lost their minds and people, it started trading on the secondary and, it was going for quite a bit of money. And I was very excited to find out that this is actually a permanent extension to their brand line. And so this is going to be something that they're going to continually be releasing. Don't know how easy it's going to be to find quite yet, but we do know that they're going to be releasing it in perpetuity, which is really good news because I happen to love this whiskey. I do not have a bottle of the special release, but when I went to go interview the assistant head distiller at Jack Daniel's, they had these Tennessee Tasters that they were selling in their gift shop, and I walked out with an entire case of 24 of them. And this is my last one because there were a lot of people who I was trying to be nice to, and I let them get them from me, and I even gave one to somebody to collect to finish out their collection of Tennessee Tasters. But I've been telling people that the Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Rye was a Thomas Handy killer. But to be honest, I hadn't tried them side by side. So what do you say we taste them up right now? The Jack Daniel's has a very nice sweet caramel note to it. And there's a lot of fruit on the nose, but it's like a berry medley. And it doesn't smell like fresh fruit. It smells kind of like maybe a cooked fruit. I don't know, like something that you find on top of like a creme brulee or something. On the palate, really solid on the palate. Again, the caramel, the like dry dark fruit or cooked fruit comes through in the mid palate. Hard to kind of put my finger on exactly what fruit because there's so much going on in here. I would probably agree with like a blackberry, maybe some peach or apricot, something like that, but absolutely delicious. Not a ton of the signature Jack Daniel's nuttiness, although I'm not going to say it's not there at all. There's just a little bit of it in there. Now, this product is going to be released at between 125 and 145 proof, so there may be some hazmats coming out. Hazmat is any whiskey that's bottled above 140 because hazmat law makes it not legal to put it on an airplane because it's just too flammable. And most of these barrels come from higher up in the rick house. So they're going to have slightly darker color than what you would see in a regular Jack Daniel's release because there's a natural heat cycling that happens up there. The higher they are, because heat rises, they experience more temperature variance. And there's a little bit more extraction from the wood, a little bit bolder flavor, which I would guess is where the caramel's coming from. This is, the mash bill on this is 70% rye, 18 corn, 12% malted barley. And if you've watched my other videos, 12% malted barley is the magic number where you do not have to use enzymes in your mash because there's enough of the enzymes to convert the sugars in the other grain that's in your mash bill just in the malted barley. If you see ones that are like 5% malted barley, they are definitely using enzymes to convert all of those sugars for the yeast. But let's compare it to the Thomas Handy. So Thomas Handy is currently probably my favorite annual release rye whiskey. Probably my favorite of all time I've ever had is the Booker's Rye. But I don't have one of those, unfortunately. Thomas Handy released by Sazerac every year as part of the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. These are very hard to come by and trade for an awful lot of money on the secondary. But this Jack Daniel's rye, just lovely. And by the way, I've compared the single barrel to the Tennessee Taster version, and there was a little bit more spice and punchiness on the mid palate of the Tennessee Taster. This is a little bit rounder on the palate, and I think is going to be more approachable and easier to drink for people. But it is a rye mash bill. I mean, you can taste that it's rye. The Thomas Handy is lovely. It's a little... there's a little more of a pine needle note that sticks out. And there was one year at Thomas Handy, 2019, that I absolutely did not like. It tasted like Pine Sol cleaning like agent to me. But this is not the 19. A lot more vanilla on the palate on the Thomas Handy versus I'm getting more caramel on the palate for the Jack Daniels. On the palate, a lot more spice coming out in the Jack Daniels. There's a pepper note that really sticks out when you compare these two together. And I'd say that for the average rye drinker, if you just really love rye and you love those baking spice notes and you love the punchier, spicier type whiskeys, you're probably going to prefer the Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Rye. But I'm still going to say that I prefer the Thomas Handy. However, I will say that it is remarkable that it's that difficult of a decision for me, because Thomas Handy is probably my number 3. Like if you threw ryes and bourbons together in this general American whiskey category, Thomas Handy is probably my number 3 whiskey that I like. And the fact that Jack Daniel's has a new release that's even in the same category with it is pretty remarkable. But I still think I slightly prefer the Thomas Handy, but the Jack Daniel's is just really, really phenomenal. So if you get a chance to pick one of these up, obviously I haven't yet. I still have my my sample, my media sample, but I will be looking for one of these. MSRP on this is $59.99. Although, like many special releases, stores are marking them up, and they're trading on the secondary for many times that. But I would say that this whiskey is a great value play at $59.99. You'd be insane to pass it up. It is phenomenal. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that. As always, I love you guys, and I'll see you next time on Bourbon Real Talk.